You're tuned into the It's Real podcast with your hosts, Kayla Callender and Andrew Yagi. Each week, we'll talk about what happens behind the scenes working full-time in real estate and share with you real-life stories, our successes and failures as we work to help consumers and industry professionals reach their real estate and real-life goals. Here we go.
It's episode 55 of the It's Real podcast. I'm Kayla Callender, and I'm a mortgage lender.
And I'm Andrew Yagi, and I'm a real estate agent.
Hello, Andy. How are you today?
I'm doing really good, Kayla. Nice. It's Thursday. It's been kind of a busy, full week. Still pretty nice weather, I feel like. But I'm really looking forward to the weekend.
Yay. Amen to that. It's, I would say, abnormally warm. Normally we've seen probably 60s around this time, but every now and then we'll see some 70s and 80s, and it's looking like a beautiful weekend to be at the lake. Will you be headed there maybe?
You know, I don't think we will. We talked about maybe hitting up a pumpkin patch in the area, kind of doing some fall activities, so to speak, and kind of hanging out. I just feel like the week just gets to be such a rat race, and I know you guys feel it too. But especially with the kids being back to school and everything like that, it's kind of nice to relax, but also mix some activities in too. Are you guys headed out to the lake?
We haven't been there in a couple weeks, so I'm itching to get out there. There is a pumpkin patch in Frazee called Harvey's Pumpkin Patch. For anyone listening, it is the cutest pumpkin patch with also things you can eat, like the squashes you can eat and the corn and the Cinderella pumpkins, if you know what that is, Andy. Like all the things that we women love to grab and decorate our porches with. So
very cool.
We'll head out there and do a little fall activities if we have some time.
Awesome. What else is going on? What's going on in Fargo?
Well, in Fargo, we're seeing a lot of back to school. I mean, it is picking up. It's crazy how busy this city gets when NDSU is back and MSU is back and Concordia. And then you've got football games. It's like the city comes alive. And It's so funny because I stayed in town a couple weekends ago on a Friday night, and I'm like, wow, this is Fargo on a Friday night, and it's so quiet in the summer. And then all of a sudden, once fall comes, it picks up. We're seeing a lot of new people come to town. We're still seeing people migrate this way, but the city's booming, and that's what I'm seeing right now in my neck of the woods. But
Awesome.
What's in your world, Andy? What are you seeing in Fargus right now?
Yeah, not a whole lot. Things I would say just because we're kind of on the fringe of the lakes area, things slow down a little bit in the fall. Of course, activities related to sports, but not on a collegiate level like NDSU and some of the colleges bring to Fargo. We still do like to get out to the lakes a little bit. I don't know if you follow, but we love going out to the Battle Lake area and hitting up a number of the restaurants. I don't know if you guys venture into Battle very much with where you're at, and I don't know if you saw the news, but one of our probably most beloved restaurants in Battle Lake, Stubbs, burned down.
Oh my God. I didn't know this.
Yeah, have you ever been to Stubbs or
heard of it? What happened?
I'm not sure. I had just kind of heard that, and obviously seen the news, and I don't know if anyone knows what happened, but really devastating. I think it opened in the late 60s, and it just changed hands about a year or so ago, but it was just great for steak and seafood. So that's really leaving a hole in the area. But on a brighter note, as far as what we're up to, we had a birthday in our family just yesterday. So Violet, our middle one, she turned 5.
Wow, already.
Yeah, 5 already, I know. So we were doing a little birthday celebrating and
all the things. Well, what did she want for her birthday?
Well, so we took a trip up to Fargo, speaking of Fargo and things to do. And so we came up and went to the indoor roller skating rink, which was a lot of fun. And mostly Violet wanted to go to Target, though, which I think her mom put her up to it more than anything. So we did that and did a few other things in the Fargo area. But yeah,
that's awesome. Well, She's already got it in her blood to go to Fargo or to go to Target. I love
She
it.
does. Well, since, we did have a Target in Fergus Falls, and corporate made the decision, and it's probably been 6 or 7 years ago already, to kind of close it down. And I think my wife still burns a vigil candle for the Target at home because she misses it. And Target packages show up at our door about every other day.
Well, they do have like free 2-day shipping if you are a Red Card member. So
I'm aware.
I bet you are. I love it.
Kayla, I want to cut to the chase here today. I saw an article, and of course, you'd have to be living under a rock to not know that, there was some big news yesterday with the Federal Reserve cutting rates.
Yes, the Fed finally cut rates. Now, this has been since COVID. So 4 years we've been waiting for some type of cut. And, Mr. Powell, Jerome buddy, he, we were anticipating about a quarter, and he came out with 50. So half point basis points in cuts, which is amazing. So this really impacts the people that have like consumer debt, like HELOCs and credit cards. A lot of questions are surrounding, well, what about mortgage rates? Mortgage rates? And there's a common misconception that, wow, we're cutting it at half. That means mortgage rates have dropped to 0.5%. But no, that's not what that means. The market actually anticipated for this type of movement. So we've already seen in September, if you're following markets, if you're following real estate, mortgage, that mortgage rates have dipped in September. So there was this anticipation of this cut coming. So it's already been here. We've already seen the lower rates. I've already been talking to clients that want to refi. Is it the right time? But what this means, actually, interest rates moved up a little bit yesterday throughout the day for mortgage rates. But what this really means is that we're going to see continual declines. In 24 and 25, we're anticipating, they're saying another half in 24 and a full point in 2025. So I think the question is, when do I buy? Is now the right time? When should I refinance? I think that's the question of, because the Fed cut, should I do that now? And the answer is not necessarily. It's setting this up for future decline. So do you want to save money now? Do you want to save money later? I think that's the question of the hour. And that's where it's just incredibly important that you're talking to the right people.
For sure. I think, Kayla, I've already had a couple of people reach out and say, hey, looks like mortgage rates are going down. I'm back in the game. And then you see, our friends at Mortgage News Daily posting along with what you just said. Yes, mortgage rates really did just move higher. Mm-hmm. And what are rates doing today, Kayla?
Yeah, so we're seeing right above that 6 mark, like right above for a 30-year fixed. For FHA, you'll see they're at like that 5.7 range. Now, again, national, I know I always say this, but where I'm at, I'm at 5.25 for FHA. It just depends. North Dakota Housing, which we talk about sometimes, their rates have dropped too. So we're seeing 4s for some of their lower income programs. And their repeat programs where you're a repeat buyer and you're getting assistance, we're seeing it in the 7s. And for a while, I remember seeing high 8s for that North Dakota Root Start. So you can see rates really are for North Dakota Housing from 4.5 to 7.3, depending where you land, which is a heck of a lot better than what we were seeing, in the months prior. So positive movement. The thing is, and I'll say it because a lot of people try to do this, timing of the market is so difficult. So right now, for you to take advantage of rates in September, you would have had to be in contract. You would have had to have a close date. You would have needed to know how many days you need in your lock. We would have had to have credit to be able to know what credit score you have to lock you. So what I'm seeing is a lot of people are now coming out, and the people that were in contract, which started, 30, 20 days ago, they were able to take advantage of the declining rates in September. And yesterday, Andy, I had a client, he actually had reached out the day before. He said, I'm shopping for companies. You're one of them. He found me on Facebook and he said, I want to know your best rate. And I said, well, I need to know, prescription without diagnosis is malpractice. So I need to know more about what you're wanting to do. And so he did end up doing an application, but by the time he did the application, by the time we got financials, by the time we could see credit, get a purchase agreement, see it all, rates have moved. And so I get it. You want to shop and you want to do your due diligence, but sometimes timing the market and trying to, look at 4 different companies over 3 days, our market is moving continuously by the second, just like the stock market moves. And so I say that because it's so important to do your homework, but it's also important to not try to time the market perfectly because it's just so hard to do.
Yep, I would agree with you for sure. And it's kind of interesting, we talk about, timing the market, and we talk about rates coming down. And, there have been, we know a lot of buyers that have been sitting on the sidelines. We know statistically election years are really, really strange. And we also know that, again, there are a lot of people thinking, hey, housing prices are going to come down. Probably not going to be the case. Rates are going to come down. Yep. And we've seen some movement there as well. But we also see, Kayla, that falling mortgage rates are actually bringing some buyers back.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really interesting to kind of look at, some of this data here, and, especially around August, kind of seeing, or kind of late July into August, kind of that mortgage application number really rise sharply as rates continued to fall. But again, I don't remember the statistic. I know you have the statistic as far as, when we see a change in rates, the buyers that come back into the market. And what is that again?
The common fact, the common statistic is for every 1% that interest rates drop, 3 million buyers come back into the market. That could mean that the rate is allowing them to afford what they want, or it could mean that lower rate is allowing them to be approved for what they want. So a lot of clients can't be approved, for what they need. Some are just choosing, I don't want to have a $3,000 payment. I want a $2,700. So they've been sitting on the sidelines. So when rates come down in the nation, we'll see quite a large amount of people come back in the market. And what does that mean, Andy? It means that demand is going to pick up, which can shoot prices up, which also means that what a lot of people forget is mortgage lenders get busier, realtors get busier, title companies, appraisers, insurance companies, and that can cause delays, or maybe you're not able to negotiate seller concessions. And so there's pros and cons in every single market, but these lower rates are great. They're awesome. But remember, it comes with higher demand, higher prices, and probably delayed timing because everyone gets so crazy busy like we saw in 2020 and 21.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And I had seen, and I think I shared it with you, kind of the Minnesota Realtor Association, their housing report talking about market activity down as buyers anticipate, rates. And so, like as a Minnesota state average, year over year, closed sales were down about 9.5%. Homes for sale, we saw inventory rise 11%. Sale price continued to appreciate, up about 1.7%, but days on market went up as well. So like I always tell people, like, hey, if you're in the market to buy and it makes sense, it might be a good time because we're seeing more sellers willing to give concessions. We're seeing more sellers willing to accept accept an offer contingent on a home sale, and there not being a huge immediate threat of getting bumped or losing out on that house. We know that we have to work a little bit harder to find the people that are truly motivated, especially for those of us who are listing a number of homes. But it's been a really interesting market, and still some opportunity left this year. But again, like you cited, statistically, there are going to be more buyers entering the market. So there is going to be more competition.
Yeah. And you think about those that want to refinance, because those people also push up, the responsibility of the lenders and the appraisers. Like there's a lot of people that are now in the market, and although refinances aren't going to, impact the competition in terms of what you want to purchase and, who's looking at homes, what it just does is it just creates this insane pressure on everybody in the market. And so I remember back in 2020, 21, there were times clients would call me and they said, my lender that I worked with won't even answer their phone. They won't get back to me. I remember realtors calling me and saying, can you help my client? Like their lender went dark on them. And I'm not saying that's going to happen, but as lenders get to capacity, if they don't have the support, the team set up, you're going to see maybe that they're going to be slow to respond to you because it's going to create just such a buzz of activity. So I just warn people to make sure that you're working with someone that is, going to communicate, but you can't anticipate if things get wild and just people can't keep up in general.
Absolutely. Well, Kayla, and like you said, if anyone out there is watching this or listening or has questions, doesn't know how to navigate the market, reach out to your expert of choice, but know that we're always here as resources as well. I'm certainly always happy to visit with people about reaching their real estate goals. Kayla, I know you are as well.
Yeah. And I think right now the question of the hour is like, do I do this now? Like, do I do this now? And at the end of the day, every single client has a different scenario. So I strongly encourage, if you're even thinking about buying or refinancing, have the conversation now. Yesterday, Andy, I had a lovely couple reach out to me and they found a house, but they hadn't been approved. Long story short, we pulled credit and we couldn't do anything because it was, I'm talking like 4%, 5% range, or not percent, 400 to 500 credit score range. Mm-hmm. And we couldn't help them at that time. Well, they had no idea. But what that does is it sets them up for success, maybe, 90 days, 180 days down the road. So by being proactive, you're just setting yourself up for success, whether you're buying or refinancing.
Great advice. Well, Kayla, I think that puts a wrap on episode 55. Good changes coming in the market. Yeah. And we'll look forward to, probably some more downward pressure in the new year. But otherwise, Kayla, great connecting. And I hope you have a great rest of the week.
I will if you will.
See ya.
Bye.